Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to another astrology weather report. This is a very interesting time that we are embarking on right now. The energy in the field is out of the box, and I really wanted to share this uniqueness in the uniqueness of this energy in this astrology weather report for you. Now, this weather report's not going to take the traditional format that I usually use, but it is going to be highly personal. There is a message from the universe for you now. So I'd encourage you to listen to my intro. Otherwise, the rest of the video, it's not going to make any sense at all. And you'll be scratching your head about, well, what's this all about? So please listen. There is a message that the universe wants to give you and share with you right now. But before we get into that, I just want to mention again about my little astrology wheels. These are for sale, and if you are interested in one, you can contact me through the contact page on Astrolada for one. And I want to say a big thank you to all the people who have ordered an astrology wheel so far and gotten in touch with me about them. Thank you, and God bless you for that. I hope you enjoy them when they arrive. Also, I've had some orders for a metal plate version. This is the fuzzy felt version where you can move the planets around. They're like, you know, the fuzzy felt storyboards that you get when you're a child. But it's a really great tool to be able to show children, teach people, create your own chart on here, or use it like a clock, hang it on the wall, that sort of thing, if you want to, or whatever. But the metal plate versions, which are coming, they've been ordered and they're on their way. I'll show you them when they arrive. The distributor, the manufacturer is making them so that we can draw on them. We can draw an aspect between Uranus and Jupiter, or whatever it happens to be. We can draw on them and then wipe it clean. So it's a bit like a whiteboard, but with this astrological printing on it, with the signs and the symbols and so on. So they're going to be great, and they're coming soon, and I'll share them with you when they arrive. But in the meantime, if you wanted to order one, you can contact me through the order page to do so. Send me a message on the contact form. A big thank you to everybody who watches my videos here at Guiding Star every week, my YouTube channel, Kesenya Moore. Guiding Star is the name of my business. So thank you for tuning in. Please feel free to like, share, or subscribe, as they always say, if this content really empowers you. And keep in mind that we can bless other people. So if you want to share this video, if there's a message in it that resonates with you, share it with your friends, share it with your spiritual companions in this life. Your children, or your friends, or your husband, or your wife, or whoever, if they could be blessed by hearing this message, then please share. Thanks so much for your support of what I do and the messages that I give each week. And if you are interested in a reading from me, pop over to the Guiding Star website page. The link is below, and you can place an order for any of the variety of readings that I have, as well as order my astro wheels there. You can order karmic readings, you can order synastry readings, you could order a birthday reading gift for a friend, you can order a one-question reading and find the answer to a particular issue that might have been bugging you. So pop over there, check it out, and if you are interested in a little bit of interpretation of the language of the heavens, then place an order with me. It'd be my pleasure to help you. I would really like to share with you what my role as an astrologer is, what my purpose and my vision is as an astrologer. Like I am here to support you in your journey through life, to help you understand the past and make sense of the events that have occurred in your life, to help you get a grip on the future, what your life purpose is, what your destiny is, what might be coming up for you, to help you understand and know yourself better. I see my role as not here to share, oh, I know all about this and I'm so smart and da-da-da. That's not my role at all. My role is to support you in your journey through this incarnation in whatever way I can, through sharing knowledge, through interpreting the skies, through helping you understand your own astrological chart and what the stars are speaking to you. So I see my role very much as an interpreter, not a counselor, not a psychologist. I'm an interpreter of the skies. So if you feel that that is something that you could utilize, so get some knowledge, some understanding, some direction, some life purpose, then by all means pop over to the order form and place an order for a reading, because it would be my honor to walk the stars for you and support you in your journey in that way.
And to do that, I'm actually offering a very special deal in conjunction with the theme of this video once we get into the nitty-gritty and the information, which is all about celebrating and honoring the end of a 9-year cycle that we're all coming out of with Pluto and the nodes. And we'll get into that more as this video goes on now. But keep in mind as you're listening, I am offering a discounted rate on my comprehensive character reading. It's now $55 off its usual price on my Guiding Star website. Ordinarily, it's about $195 in Australian dollars, so I think that's $140 in American dollars. So with 55 Australian dollars off, that brings it down to $100 American, or $140 Australian, which is a really good deal. It's an hour-long reading that looks at the entirety of your chart, and we can make a very special emphasis at this time up until the 31st of March. With this offer, we will emphasize what Pluto and the nodes are doing, what they indicate in your chart, the karma that they indicate, and the destiny that you're heading into with the nodes. We can look at all that sort of thing in this hour-long reading. Plus many, many other factors are covered as well in the comprehensive character reading. And an hour is the amount of time I spend in the pre-recorded video for you, looking at your chart. But there's a great deal, just so you know, a great deal more time, probably another hour or two on top of that, that I spend researching your chart and the influences on your chart, so that we cover a lot. We cover so much information. So it is really good value for money. Please don't think that, oh my gosh, that's so expensive for an hour, but it's actually more like 3 hours of work that we put into this. And I love doing it. It's a delight for me. This is something I get a lot of joy out of, looking at people's charts and helping them understand their lives. So if this is of interest to you, and if this video really resonates with you, if it triggers something in your heart and your soul, consider getting a reading. Pop over to www.guidingstar.astrology.com and place an order for the discounted special for the comprehensive character reading.
So now that I've gone through those bits and pieces, I wanted to say happy full moon and happy spring or autumn equinox, depending on where you are in the world, to you right now. This video I'm intending to go live on the full moon, autumn equinox, spring equinox, depending on where you are, day. And so I wish you God's love, God's insight and blessing on this day. It's a special day, actually, the equinox day, and it's going to be very special because there's a full moon at the same time. That doesn't usually happen. So it is a very rare occurrence, and it makes this equinox very, very important and very special. It's actually a combo of both new beginnings, because the sun will be moving into the sign of Aries here and beginning his next sojourn around the horoscope. So it is a new beginning, a new start, the solar new year. This is what we're looking at with an equinox. And this is a new beginning. So we can establish our intentions and direct our energies towards what we want to achieve in the coming solar year. But it's also an energy of fruition as well, and reaping a harvest, because when we have a full moon, and here we are, there's the moon opposite there, 1st degree or 0 degrees of Libra and Aries. This is a harvest time. What did you establish 2 weeks ago when the moon was new? What intentions did you set? What thoughts crossed your mind about what you wanted to be, who you wanted to, what you wanted to achieve, and what has materialized for you in the last 2 weeks? Maybe you felt like you wanted to get a new job 2 weeks ago, and so you started looking online, and what's out there and what could I do? And maybe you found in the last 2 weeks the job of your dreams, and so you've applied for it. Doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to get it, but you've taken action. You have instigated in the last 2 weeks the actions following on from the intentions that were set, I want a new job, back 2 weeks ago when the moon was new. So there's a harvest now. This might mean that, you know, that the job application period has ended and you actually get a call for an interview. Fantastic. That could be the harvest of this particular intention that you might have, you know, flitted through your mind 2 weeks ago. I want a new job. Just one example. So it's a time of new beginnings, and it's also a time of fruition and harvesting. So enjoy the new beginnings, set new intentions, and reap what you've sown and the reward for the efforts that you've made over the last 2 weeks. Enjoy that. But this energy, although it's beautiful and it's a precious time, this new beginnings, the equinox, I love it. We'll be sitting, my children and I will be sitting out under the stars and the full moon on this night to enjoy the equinox energy. There is something else that I want to talk about this week. I don't really want to speak any further about this full moon and equinox energy. There's been plenty on YouTube about that already, but what I am tapping into, this energy, there goes the garbage truck, quite pertinent actually, because the energy that I love the universe's timing, the energy that I am feeling, that I am just, I can't avoid it, it is everywhere I look right now, is the energy of Pluto, who rules garbage and who rules excretion and plumbing and sewers and garbage tips and dump trucks, and all the rest of it is Pluto. So thank you, universe, for lining that one up just then. I feel called to talk about an energy it's actually about a week and a half away, but we're feeling it already. We're noticing it in the realm already. We can, if you're very highly intuitive, you will be picking up on this right now, and we are seeing this energy manifest in our third dimensional reality already. It's going to increase over the next week and a half, and I really wanted to get stuck into this because I'm feeling it so strong. You know, everywhere I look, I'm reading an article on Pluto and the South Node, or I come across a video that's, oh, Pluto and Pluto's role and what Pluto's doing, or books, or like what's just occurred, I'm thinking about Pluto and there goes the garbage truck, you know. These kind of things are happening over and over and over again for me right now, and I feel that the universe is very much directing me to talk about what Pluto is up to in the chart. So this chart is actually, I believe the moon's going to be up in Aquarius. This is actually the chart for the 31st of March, when we are going to have a conjunction of Pluto and the South Node. Now let's talk, perhaps let's put the South Node aside just for the minute, and let's talk a little bit about Pluto in Capricorn. Now on a global scale, we're seeing a lot of Pluto in Capricorn events. Pluto, as you've probably gathered from the description I gave a moment ago, he rules anything that is about purging, getting rid of, pushing away, having, you know, composting, you know, sending down the toilet, so to speak, sending into the compost bin or the garbage bin, getting rid of. That's Pluto. He rules all that stuff. And what is happening, and sorry, Capricorn rules hierarchies, structures, the social order of things, social status, social systems. This is Capricorn. And so what has Pluto been doing in Capricorn? Well, we see it lately. There's been, on a global scale, marches for climate change, because young people are absolutely jack of the way the older people in politics have been handling climate change issues. They're sick of the old structures. They're sick of the old hierarchies that aren't doing what they should be doing. Things that are worn out, things that are not working. And so there's been marches protesting the way climate change is being handled all over the world. This is Pluto in Capricorn. He is tearing down old structures that aren't working, that are dead. Pluto gets rid of what is dead. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. So this is globally. I will get to personal stuff very soon. Marches for climate change. Recently, that dreadful Australian cardinal, he's received his sentence. This is Pluto in Capricorn, absolutely, because Capricorn actually rules the Vatican. And here we are getting another addressing of, a social structure or a religious structure. It's a structure, it's ruled by Capricorn, that is not working. That is, the system is failing. It's failing people, it's failing humanity. And there is the beacon, the shining light of why it's not working. Look at this. And Pluto is going to tear these structures down while he's in Capricorn, and he's doing a great job of bringing it to the world's attention that these structures, the old political systems, the old Vatican, the religious systems, they're not working the way they are. They either need to change or be flushed down the toilet, basically. So a lot of these things are coming up right now, and it's not just the Catholic Church, it's other religious systems that are being called into question, other hierarchical systems, other governmental systems, other, corporate business systems, everything. Like the Me Too movement is a result of Pluto in Capricorn. The old Hollywood, it is being dealt with too. Like these are the results of Pluto in Capricorn at the moment globally. People are sick of outworn hierarchies. They don't want to subject themselves to these kind of shitty circumstances anymore. And this is great. So it's hard to see all this horror come out, the recent trial of the cardinal whose name I will not mention. It's hard to see those yucky, horrible things come up and be put out in the light for everyone to see. But if that is how Pluto will purge, he takes what's in the underworld, puts it out there so that it can be composted, not so much dissolved, but flushed away. Sorry, that was a great film that my kids liked. Sorry about that. I love Aardman. But seriously, flushed away. This is what Pluto wants to do with things that are dark and deep and not working, and that we've hidden the skeletons in the closet. And the general population of the world is sick and tired of things that are not working, and they're taking action over it because Pluto in Capricorn does that. So this is the energy that I'm feeling in the field. I'm being amped up by this, and it is being powerfully coming to the fore right now because of this conjunction. We're about a degree away from it happening, and we're feeling it. We are really feeling it as it moves closer and closer. So just get my notes right here. Like I said, it's going to happen on the 31st of March that we have the conjunction. Now it's global, as I've just described, and it's personal. Pluto went into the sign of Capricorn in 2008. So, and the last time that he was in Capricorn before that was about 200 years ago. He moved in there in 1762, so a little over 200 years ago, that he was in the sign of Capricorn and probably dealing, quite extensively with a lot of things. I think there was the Declaration of Independence, one of those legal documents for the foundation of America. I'm not super brilliant with American history. Do forgive me. I am Australian, not American. But there was some particular document that was signed and orchestrated to establish America as a country during that period when Pluto was in Capricorn. But I want to ask you, on a very personal level, did you notice anything shift in your life in 2008? Did you feel anything? Did anything significantly change your life when Pluto moved into Capricorn? Now, it's possible that it may not have, because Pluto is quite a generational planet. He will spend 14 to 16 years in Capricorn. I forget which exactly, but he is going to be there for quite a substantial piece of time. So everyone who is born since 2008 till 2024, I think it is, they're going to have, anyone born during this time frame is going to have Pluto in Capricorn and be a Pluto in Capricorn person. So it's a big time frame. So it's a generational planet. So you may not have noticed anything personal to you because his movement into Capricorn is a very generational thing to occur. But we're going to see it play out with this generation that's being born now in time. The results of Pluto in Capricorn will manifest in this upcoming generation. But we can see events on a global scale. Personally though, Did you see anything happen in your life in 2010? Just have a think about it. What were you doing in 2010? Did anything change for you in 2010? So many people that I know, myself included, my children, my friends, my clients, my relatives, 2010, particularly the latter half of 2010, was a red letter year of massive change and massive upheaval and redirectioning. There were separations in late 2010. There were divorces in late 2010, job losses, moving of homes unexpectedly, health concerns for many people on a personal level in 2010. It was a real year of 6 months or so of upheaval. And why was this? Because in 2010, Pluto conjuncted the North Node. This is the South Node. So 9 years ago in 2010, Pluto was about here in Capricorn, and this little fella, the North Node, was sitting up here. We are heading towards what is called a nodal reversal or nodal opposition, when the South Node and the North Node swap places from where they were 9 years ago. This is what we're heading to. So in late 2010, there was Pluto and the North Node here in the early degrees of Capricorn. It was on the 5th of November, actually, that the conjunction occurred. But as with what I'm feeling now, the energy is already happening, already noticeable, already playing out. And it will continue to be played out over the course of 2019. So we have been in a 9-year cycle with Pluto ever since, and the North Node effects. Now, as I've said, Pluto is purging, getting rid of, saying what is not working here. So what have you been working on? I want to ask you, in your life since 2010. Pluto asks us to purge and excrete whatever is not working. So I'll just refer to one of the astrologers I quite respect, and that is a gentleman by the name of Rick DeClementi, who recently was one of these videos that I stumbled across talking about Pluto, and one of the statements he made was, I felt, quite helpful to understanding Pluto. Pluto, when we're going through a Pluto cycle in life, or are about to all be impacted by a particular Pluto, in this case conjunction, Pluto is asking us what is dead in your life that you're refusing to let go of. What are you clinging on to with all your might and main that's actually dead? You know, is it your marriage? Is it your job or a career that's dead and done and you just keep hanging on? Is it your family relationships? Is it outworn, belief systems that, I've always thought that this was the case and I'm not giving up this thought, even though everything around me indicates that it's total rubbish, this belief system. Pluto really wants to purge and excrete anything that is dead in your life that you are hanging on to for whatever reason. This is a great Pluto question, especially if you're going through a Pluto transit. So I want to encourage everybody in the lead up to the 31st of March, examine your life. What are you holding on to that is dead and done? Like, I'll give you an example in my life. When 9 years ago, Pluto was conjunct the North Node, I was hanging on to a marriage that was dead, and Pluto didn't let me stay there. So that's what Pluto does when he triggers a personal point. And yes, the nodes are collective. Yes, the nodes they're quite generational as well. Not as generational as Pluto is, but they're in a sign for 18 months at a time. But the North and South nodes, the transiting North and South nodes, are trigger points. Massive manifestation and trigger points for everybody's life. So when Pluto connects with them, we get triggering in our lives in some way, shape or form. I'm going to talk in a moment about what is being triggered for you. So Pluto is going to force you, like I said, to let go of what is dead in your life. He's probably already working on it right now and has been doing so maybe for a couple of months. But Pluto doesn't want us to be zombies, living dead lives in a career that's dead, in a marriage that's dead, or in a friendship that's dead. He calls us to purge them, whatever it happens to be. Now, another Pluto strategy that I want to just encourage everybody to think about or apply in the lead up to the 31st of March is to list everything in life that you are afraid of, that you are scared of. Like, for example, you might be scared that you'll get cancer, or you're scared that you won't be able to pay the bills or survive, and you cling on to your money, your power and control. Very Pluto with the money. Pluto is kind of dualistic, he wants to hang on to things and control things, but equally he wants to purge. So it's quite a dualistic planet. But you might be scared of not being able to survive financially. You might be scared of being alone in life. What is it in your life that you fear? Write it down. Write a list of all the things in life you fear. Maybe it's something quite intangible, like I fear that my voice will not be heard. I fear that my words aren't valuable. What I have to share is not appreciated by the world. I fear that my constant self-sabotaging will mean I live a less than stellar life. Like it could be anything. Go deep within you and look at what are your fears. What are the really, at the bottom of the onion layers, what are the fears that you have about your life? Yes, it might be surface stuff like I don't want to get cancer, or it could be really deep stuff like I fear that I will be parent my children the way I was parented, and I don't want to do that, and I'm really afraid that will, go deep and look at every area of your life that is a potential element or realm of fear for you. Because Pluto, he wants to address our fears, and he wants to any fears that we are denying that are there, he is going to smash apart, particularly when he makes a contact like this one to the South Node. So if you are in denial about something that you are afraid of or you're scared of in life, if you're in denial about that and pretending it doesn't exist, or even not even consciously aware that it exists in you, then that's what he'll address. So by making a list of the things you are afraid of, you are bringing them out into the light. You're giving them over to the, making them come out of the underworld into the light, essentially by making them known to yourself. You don't have to put them on YouTube, but just bringing any of your fears up in and write them down, and you look at them and you're like, oh my God, yes, that is a fear for me. And you make it conscious, you make it yourself consciously aware of a fear. Then by bringing these things out of the skeleton in the cupboard kind of thing and working on them, consciously working on, I always self-sabotage myself and I'm afraid to move ahead in life. This is part of my self-sabotage habits because I'm afraid to move ahead. I'm afraid of success. Then by working on that, by giving yourself mantras or affirmations or just doing some sort of soul work to alleviate that fear, then Pluto will have nothing to smash. He'll have nothing to destroy. Pluto, he's actually so fascinating. He uses destruction in our lives to set us free. Kind of kooky, but we can't see it at the time. But look, have a look back to 2010 when Pluto conjuncted the North Node. It probably felt like hell on earth at the time. And the reality may very well be that you were being set free so that you could move into the North Node element of your life, which is our destiny. So Pluto with the North Node was purging you of something old and outworn, particularly a hierarchical system in Capricorn, so that you could move into your destiny fully, or more fully, I should say. We never get there fully. So yeah, it probably felt awful. Now, my example that I gave, which was that the separation from my husband occurred in late 2010. And that occurred because Pluto revealed to me old outworn patterns and ways of thinking, hierarchical ideas about what a man and woman should be in a relationship. And it's my fault. I don't deny it. I had these very outworn, maybe he did too as well, but I had these very outworn ideas about what a man did in a relationship and what a woman did in a relationship and the dynamics between the two in a marriage. And what I thought was very archaic, very 1950s, very old school. And Pluto said, this is not serving you anymore. And so he smashed that thing apart. And it was painful at the time, like ripping a Band-Aid off is like, oh, but then the healing began. And I no longer have those archaic ideas about male-female relationships, and it's spilled over into other areas of my life. I've actually turned around 180 degrees from the woman that I used to be. And it's a good thing. It's a powerful, empowering thing. But it came with a smashing apart of the hierarchical belief system that I had. Men did this and women did this and la la la. So I am grateful to Pluto. It was hell, but I am thankful. So thankful. It's interesting, if you've ever seen a photo of Pluto, in 2015, there was a Voyager that they sent out from NASA that, I don't know the name of it. It's escaping me right at the moment. Usually I remember all these things. Mercury retrograde in my sign of Pisces, and I'm just like, my brain is just not clicking over like it should. But there was a satellite or a Voyager thing. Oh God, how embarrassing. I can't remember it. That went out past Pluto and took photos of Pluto, and the photos that it sent back, oh my God, there was this old ancient volcanic eruption on the side of Pluto, on the face of Pluto, in the shape of a heart. And I'm a big believer in as above, so below. What is happening out there is reflected on the earth in our lives. And here is Pluto with a heart on the side of his sphere. What does that say? At the core of every Pluto transit is love for us. And we don't feel that because he works through destruction. He works through crisis. He works through transformation, big time, death and rebirth experiences. This is Pluto's stuff. That's how he works, but at the core of it is love. He wants Kesenya to no longer have 1950s views about marriage, about relationship, about partnership. So he will destroy that so that she changes her views to much more progressive, much more equality, much more self-honoring views, where I am not the martyr in service of somebody else any longer kind of views. So there's love at the core of what Pluto does. Now, Dolores Cannon teaches that we are not here to have a cushy life, you know, when a lot of us think that we are, that we think that we are everything's supposed to go our way, and when it's not going our way, when the rug keeps getting pulled out from under us, we're like, what's going on? This is terrible. We're not here to have a cushy life. Dolores Cannon and many other wise sages teach that we are here to learn. We are on a journey to evolve and grow, and the only way we do that is through learning, through gaining more understanding, through experience, through insight, through sharing and communication with other people, through reading, through learning. We are here to grow as human beings, as souls. We're here to grow, not to sit back with our feet up and a margarita in our hand, even though that's fun and nice to do, and we should definitely do that on occasion. But the overall theme of our lives is growth, learning. Unfortunately, the biggest lessons in life come from crisis. They come from our underworld experiences. They come from going into the deep, dark depths of the underworld with Pluto and emerging out the other side into our springtime. That is where we get the biggest lessons, the biggest growth. Pluto is our greatest teacher, actually. So when we're going through Pluto time, yep, it's yucky, but it is for our highest good. And I'm all about, let's evolve for our highest good. Let's get this job on Earth done so that we don't have to come back again. So Piscean. I don't want to come back. I want to escape. So when Pluto was conjunct with the North Node, we experienced upheaval to help us transform towards our destiny. Just a quick note on the North Node, which is now down here in Cancer. North Node is the energy we haven't mastered in life. We're quite insatiable about it. We want to learn all about it. We hunger for our North Node. Wherever the North Node is in your natal birth chart, that's the energy that you are learning to master in this lifetime. It's what you're rising up into, it's what you're becoming, and it's what your soul craves to know more of. That is the North Node. So Pluto conjunct North Node helped us transform towards our destiny. So now we're in the throes of releasing the past with the South Node, because what the South Node represents is it's a very spiritual point. It's very much about our spiritual selves rather than the tangible world. But it's also about, similarly to Pluto, it's about getting rid of, excreting. In the ancient mythologies, the nodes, north and south, were represented by a dragon that had been sliced in half. Now, I live in Australia. We have all the deadliest snakes in the world, lucky us. And I grew up on a farm, so let me tell you, I've seen a snake cut in half. Many people probably have as well. Not a pretty sight, but for like minutes, like 10 minutes after they have been killed, they thrash around, and you never know which way that snake's head is going to flip-flop, or the tail. They just around for ages. And this is what the dragon does. It is a dragon that's been cut in half, and it can flip-flop in any way. That's why we can never predict with 100% accuracy what an eclipse will bring us, because it's unpredictable, like a snake that's been cut in half. And so, why am I going off on that tangent? So the South Node, that's right. The South, get back, Mercury retrograde, god damn it. The South Node is the tail of the dragon, the end. It's not the bit that's eating the head, it's the tail. And what do we do up our tail end? Well, we poo things out. We get rid of the shit. This is what the tail end of the snake or the dragon does. And so the South Node represents that. It's getting rid of, letting go of, saying goodbye to, no longer relevant anymore, thank you very much, poo it out the other end. So this is what is happening full on now with Pluto, which is also about excretion and composting and, you know, same kind of deal, really. So Pluto has been slowly working on really, truly, deeply getting rid of whatever started back here 9 years ago with the conjunction of the Pluto and the North Node. And now we are heading up to the resolution of this 9-year period. Wow, great. So we're collectively and personally now heading into this Pluto nodal reversal period, or nodal opposition period. So Pluto conjunct South Node is an opposition to what occurred 9 years ago when it was Pluto conjunct the North Node. So we're ending a cycle with Pluto and the North Node now. This is a karmic window that is opening for all of us. It is a magical time, and it's a little bit like the energy of a full moon, because this planet, this point, the North Node, has moved around now to sit opposite the planet that triggered things 9 years ago. So we are reaching a fruition like a full moon. When the moon is conjunct with the sun, it's a new moon, and it moves halfway around the chart and becomes a full moon when it sits opposite the sun. Well, this is the same kind of energy. Something began, something was initiated, something was started, an intention was set back in 2010, and now it's come to its fruition stage. It's like the full moon stage. We are in a period where we can be harvesting what was begun 9 years ago. So it's, in a sense, it's It's a halfway point of the full cycle, which is 18 to 19 years. So it's a halfway point, but the most difficult work has now been done. Isn't that a relief to know? Isn't that just like, oh my God, I'm going to be able to catch my breath at last? You have sown, you have planted, you have prepared, you have watered, you have nurtured this new intention, this new, even it can happen on a subconscious level, this, I am no longer going to think in a certain way about marriage and relationship anymore. That was my deal. And I have been spending 9 years planting, sowing, working on restructuring, revisiting what are my beliefs really now. And now I can harvest. Okay, this is done. This is done. We're finished with this. There's a full completion of the purging. Now that doesn't mean that over the next 9 years, till it gets back to its original point, that there isn't still going to be some issues, that we're not still going to be working with this energy, and you know, things will crop up from time to time and we'll still have to deal with it. Things have layers, they go deep. But the hard labor is done, and now we just let it grow. Okay? So I hope that's making sense to you. We are at a fruition stage with the Pluto nodal dynamic. So I've actually found that this is linked to the natal placement of our south node actually. So what began back then was very much about what began 9 years ago was very much about the north node placement in your chart and pertained to those ideas. In my case, it was not so much about relationship, but about outworn societal expectations of a man, of a woman, of what a marriage is, of, you know, you should never get divorced. Good people, they don't get divorced. I mean, this was the kind of nutty thinking that I had 9 years ago. And so it was not so much to do with the relationship, but societal expectations around men and women's roles, around marriage as an institution, these kind of outworn thinkings about societal expectation. And my north node sits natally in the 10th house. 10th house is about how we appear to society, how we appear in the world. You know, what's my social status? What is my, you know, how does the world recognize me? It's very 10th house. It can be career as well. At that time, though, I was not. I was a mother, and that was my career. So it did change phenomenally. And I'll use this as an illustration. When this happened, I became a single mother. So my career, which was mothering, completely changed. You know, I went from being a supported woman who was looking after the children at home, as a good 1950s woman should, to being a single mum having to go out and work to support my very little young family. They're all sort of in pre-kindergarten at that time. So my career changed, dynamic. My societal place in the world changed phenomenally. You know, lots of rejection in the circles I used to move in because I got divorced and separated. And it was my instigation as well. I had Uranus in the first house, for anyone who's familiar with that transit. And so it was very much, the Pluto conjunct North Node was about making changes to where my North Node sat natally, which was my 10th house. So I have seen and I'm observing in my clients, in my friends, in my children, that the effects of the coming Pluto conjunct South Node transit are playing out in the realm of where we are purging more from the realm where our South Node sits. In my case, 4th house, family, heritage, lineage, and those who watched my video 2 weeks ago know that that's a big area of purging that has been occurring in my life. Thank you, Pluto conjunct South Node, upcoming. So with that in mind, do you know where your South Node is? Because this, I'm going to go through this now. Instead of looking at what's happening sign by sign by sign, I'm going to look at where is your natal South Node? What is Pluto purging from your life right now. So this is where things get a little bit different to what I normally do, and why you needed to watch the intro, or else it's not going to make any sense. So if you don't know where your north and south node are, pop over to astro.com. Pause this video, go there now, plug in your details, and you will need a birth time, because we're going to look at the house placement of the nodes. Their sign placement at the time you were born, it's generational. It pertains to everyone born within that 18-month period that the nodes were in a particular sign. The house placement of the nodes is what is going to give you the nitty-gritty detail that you're going to need from this reading. So pop over to astro.com, find out where your, let's talk about this, where your ascendant is. Let's use this chart. Let's just say that your ascendant is in Aries. And you can see by looking at the chart that your nodes are in Cancer and Capricorn. So this is how, in whole sign astrology, this is what we're using. I'm sorry to those who like to use Placidus, but I'm using whole sign astrology. I find that it works the clearest and the best and the most concisely. It gives me great predictive results in my work. We go from the place where the sign where your AC is in the chart, and we count the signs, not the houses, but the signs. 1, 2, 3, 4 gives us the placement of the north node. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the south node. So the south and the north node and the south nodes always sit exactly opposite each other. I believe in astro.com it does not have the glyph for the south node, but you'll know where it is because it will be exactly opposite where the north node symbol is in the astro.com. So do that, count through the signs, find out where the south node sits in your natal chart, and then the rest of this predictive reading will make sense. If you do want to understand the role of the nodes and what they do in your chart, if you want to understand that better, then please come and ask for a reading from me. It's something I love to look at. I love to talk about the nodes. They are a fascinating component of our charts, and they are actually very, very karmic and very powerful, more powerful than a lot of astrologers give them credit for. They trigger the eclipses, they trigger the big life changes that we have. They're a very powerful predictive tool. So if you don't understand them, please feel free to come and get a reading from me if you'd like to.
And just another little reminder that you can order a comprehensive character reading, which is $55 Australian off the usual price, so $100 US or $140 Australian, at my website www.guidingstar.com. And we will look at what the nodes mean. We will look at what they're telling you. We can explore that in great depth, as well as what Pluto means in your chart for you. And also we're going to cover heaps and heaps of other stuff in the hour-long video recorded reading, especially for you.
So now we are going to go through the house placements for the nodes. This is what Pluto conjunct the south node will be affecting. So we're talking about the south node placement here, not the north node. Okay? So if you have, and I'm not going to use the wheel because the wheel will not help in this situation. If you have the south node in your first house, this conjunction that's coming up is going to be about getting rid of hierarchies and outdated structures that are to do with your capacity to survive and thrive in life. Maybe you have an outworn way of thinking about, I can't be successful. My family has never been successful, or I am not smart enough, or I don't have the skills that it takes to earn enough money to survive well. I've always got to live in a mediocre or lower level kind of life. Maybe you've got bad, outworn habits of thinking around your survival and your ability to thrive. Pluto's going to smash that. That's going. You know, your outworn survival patterns. Maybe you've always thought, I must, you know, I don't take help from anybody else. I don't want help from anybody else. I must do it all on my own. Well, with the South Node in the first house, this is not your destiny this lifetime. You are here to learn to partner, to collaborate, to cooperate with others. And so Pluto says goodbye the old habit of thinking that you must go it alone, that you will not accept help from other people. Now remember, he is the planet of disruption and crisis. And if you don't acknowledge that you have this outworn habit, this outworn way of thinking, he will do so by pulling the rug out from under you, and you will have to depend on somebody else. Better that you choose to deal with it now and bring it into the light before Pluto smashes it. So I want to encourage you to do that. You know, if you've got South Node in the first house, check your patterns and attitudes towards the way you survive, the way you thrive, and your ability to stand on your own 2 feet. The second house, if you have the South Node in the second house natally, well, what's going on now is going to trigger that. You're going to be dealing with hierarchies to do, and outworn structures to do with resources and making money, any sort of self-valuing, the way you value yourself, the way you appreciate yourself, and outworn financial patterns. So if you are, I mean, I'm just using examples, but if you have an attitude to money like I must, you know, hang on and cling to the very first cent that I make. You know, when I shift house from my rental home, I take all the light bulbs with me because I'm that much of a tight ass. If you've got these habits that are not liberating you, that are keeping you trapped in the underworld, Pluto will smash them. So check now your fears, your attitudes to money, to resources, to your own self-worth. And also pay attention to whatever is dead regarding resources. Maybe you've made money in a certain way your entire life, but it's not working for you anymore. But hang on, this is how I do it. I always do it this way. Why is it not working now? Well, Pluto says it's dead. It's time to go. Out with that, you know, old approach to making money that's not working for you. And you hang on to it when you need to let it go. So check yourself now. List your fears regarding money, regarding resources, regarding, you know, income and home and possessions and, you know, the clothes you have and the food you eat and the jewelry that you own and all this stuff. Check those things, because that's where Pluto will be doing his, you know, heavy duty work. Outworn thinking and around that, and hierarchies and structures around, because Capricorn is hierarchies and structures around money and resources for you guys. If you have the South Node in the third house, you're going to be dealing with purging outworn hierarchies and outworn structures that are to do with your skills, the skills of your hands. Obviously my skills of my hands are not very good because I've got this disgusting little band-aid on my thumb, but skills of the hands, relationships with siblings, the way you learn, the way you speak and write and communicate. If you've got old habits there that really aren't helping you, if you've got particularly outworn, well, let's use hierarchies again, hierarchies in the education system, and you're subject to certain hierarchical procedures in the education system, hierarchical attitudes in the education system that are not working well for you on a personal level, Pluto's going to smash them. Any outworn thinking that you have, any sort of you know, thought processes around your relationships, around your communication, around you know, the way you do business. Third house is small business. So any outworn thinking that you've got, because the third house is how we think, Pluto conjunct South Node in Capricorn is smashing that, dealing with that for you if you have South Node in the third house. So you know, if you've got let's use an example. If you've got a small business, maybe you're there's a business in the town where I live that is a boutique book covering company. They create their own books by hand, and they sew them in the traditional way. And every time I walk past their shop, I think, how do they make any money? Who orders that? It's fabulous that there is something like that. But you know, maybe they're like, let's cling to the old traditional ways and let's keep those old skills alive. And I'm so glad that they do. But maybe in this town, it's not making any money for them. And they're hanging on and hanging on. And Pluto says, dudes, that's dead. You've got to, you know, you've got to either move to a bigger city where there's a larger clientele, or get online with what you're doing so that you can reach the whole world, or, you know, you've got to change this up, or else I'm going to pull it out from under you. You know, old outworn thinking regarding businesses of any kind, regarding how you make your own money, because the third house is how we make money by our own instigation. Not money that comes to us as an employee, but money that we make through our own small businesses and so forth. So any outworn thinking, any old hierarchical attitudes or structures, they're going. So if you have the South Node in the 4th house, as I do, this is the house of family traditions, genetic karma, outworn lineages can be seen here. This is the South Node wants to get rid of the connection to overall in your life in general, to family, to heritage, to roots, and to lineage that is no longer serving your rise up into your destiny North Node. So if you also have the South Node in the 4th house, it's likely you'll be dealing with and purging, as this conjunction up here starts to occur, you will be dealing with genetic karma, the lineage of maybe the women in your family who've always had a particular attitude towards whatever it is that they do, you know, that this is how women always behave, or this is how men always behave, or this is purging this is going now. You know, attitudes from your community. Maybe you grew up in a certain community that thought certain ways or did certain things, and it is dead and it is dying and done, and you won't let it go. Pluto will smash that sucker. So think about, if you've got the South Node in the 4th house, think about any family traditions, any family attitudes, any community, particularly small community. This is represented by the 4th house, small insular type communities that have certain practices or belief systems or habits, community, family practices, beliefs and habits that are really dead, that are outworn. This is where the smashing will occur. So bring it out into the light now before Pluto gets to work on it. If you have the South Node in the 5th house, your hierarchical structures that are being addressed through this are going to have to do with your attitudes to love, relationships, children, like love relationships, children, and your ability to have fun and have pleasure and know creative self-expression. So you might have outworn attitudes to love and romance. You might think that love and romance must happen in a certain way. I mean, let's just use a crazy example, but that the man must always approach the woman, and that's the way you think it should be, and that they must be the instigator. And generally speaking, that is the nature of masculine energy, to do so. But maybe you're a woman with a lot of masculine energy in you. You know, when we go through our modalities in astrology to determine what is stronger in us. But you know, if you're clinging to a thought that, you know, you're a woman and you're full of masculine initiatory energy, and yet you are clinging to an outworn South Node 5th house thought that it must be the man to instigate, and then you wonder why you're always alone and you never got a partner. Well, it's because you have masculine initiatory energy, and you need to let go of that outworn way of thinking about how romance happens and who does what. Let that go so that you can rise into your destiny and actually connect with people. So that's just a crazy example, but there will be outworn attitudes to love and romance. There will probably be some outworn attitudes to child to adult relationships, or honoring of your own inner child. Maybe you haven't honored your inner child, and then we get this Pluto energy that wants to transform the South Node, and he tells you you've got to start honoring your inner child or I'm going to make you, you know. So bring out your attitudes. How do I feel about the little girl or the little boy that's still inside me? Do I care for them? Do I nurture them? Am I honoring of the little boy or girl I was, of the little person that I was, and their hopes and dreams? Do I even honor that? Do I even think about that? Do I honor my creative self-expression? What are my attitudes to my ability to create and express? What are my attitudes to love and romance? Bring out any negative aspects there, any fears in those realms, any psychological attitudes that really aren't serving you. Now, bring them up now. Let's bring them out into the light, and Pluto then will have nothing to smash and destroy. The 6th house, if you have the South Node in the 6th house, well, the hierarchies are occurring in places of work. So with, you know, with your other employees, the people that you work with, or the people who are in subordinate roles to you if you are an employer. So attitudes that might be outworn for you would be to do with service. How you serve, how you can serve. You might have a thing in your head that service only occurs when you're being the janitor and cleaning the toilet, and that nobody else serves unless it's in some sort of very lowly, you know, type role. And, you know, Pluto says you're going to change that attitude, because the king should be in service in some way or another to his people. You know, it's not just for lowliness. And so Pluto says you've got to change your attitudes to service and who serves and how they serve. It takes on many guises in the world. You've got to change your attitudes to your work life, because maybe they're not healthy. You've got outworn attitudes regarding health and well-being. I had a very sad story recently about somebody who got cancer, and they were told by their doctor that the doctor said, we can't help you. You know, you look at alternative healing methods. My God, what a doctor to do that. It's very unusual, and so good that he did. But the person refused because of their belief systems, that alternative healing methods such as energy healing, even acupuncture, or you know, psychic surgery and stuff like that, that was wrong, that was bad, that was evil. So they didn't take that road. So sad, you know. May have worked, it may not have worked, but unless you give things a crack, you're never going to know, you know, and you're just resigning yourself to the inevitable regarding your health. So maybe South Node in the 6th is making you purge and release and compost outworn ideas regarding health and well-being and taking care of your body. Making you purge outworn ideas about your daily activities even. You know, maybe you think that you've got to be stressed in order to be a successful person. Well, that is the biggest outworn idea I've ever heard, and I tend to go down that road a bit myself sometimes, but it's not true. And so Pluto might be wanting to purge that out of your life and make you realize you don't have to be a little stress head in order to be having a life that is successful and beautiful and rich, you know, and that is learning and growing as we need to. You don't have to be stressed to learn and grow. So these are some outworn attitudes, some old hierarchical systems, if you like, that need to be purged. If you have South Node in the 7th house, well, the hierarchical ideas and systems might be around the institution of marriage. Maybe you've got an attitude that you must get married, or you cannot have sex before marriage, or that marriage looks like XYZ. And that's it. And you have this old, outdated, hierarchical, structural idea of what a marriage partnership is. And then along comes Pluto conjunct the South Node and says, that is outworn, that is not serving you, it needs to be composted. So maybe something happens in your marriage that makes you readdress that. So better to deal with it and bring it into the light before you go through a separation, or a divorce, or before you go through an affair or something that causes you to, you know, get rid of that outworn attitude to marriage. Also works the same with business partnerships, you know. There might be outworn attitudes to contracts that you have and the way you contractualize something in general. So definitely with this placement, the South Node in the 7th house, Pluto will be triggering the changes to that area of your life, marriage, business partnership, anything contractual. There will be some composting of old outworn ideas and structures relating to that area of your life. Now, if you have the South Node in the 8th house, the hierarchies, the structures, the outworn thinking and ideas are going to be happening around, firstly, other people's money, other people's resources are seen by the 8th house. So, you know, maybe there's a hierarchical structure that you're dealing with around some sort of insurance situation or a power of attorney situation, or maybe some sort of results of a legal action that's also seen from the 8th house. You know, there can be a need to restructure your approach to the occult, which is seen by the 8th house, or the underworld, or even outworn sexual ideas. And this is a really good example, actually, because we can, you know, if we've had many sexual partners, you can come across people with really outdated ideas about sex and the purpose of sex. And even counselors and stuff will come across people who still think that sex is only for the purposes of procreation, and not for liberation or pleasure or joy or, you know, love or anything. So there can be some and here I'm being a bit judgy, aren't I? So bad on me. But you know, if that's the way they want to believe, that's the way they want to believe. But I'm just giving an example of Pluto may very well smash that idea. Pluto may very well change your attitudes to sexuality entirely. You might have to go through a bit of a crisis period with your own sexuality or the sexuality of somebody close to you, to smash that attitude that was not serving you, that's not helping you. Also, the 8th house is our ability to receive from other people, where the opposite, the 8th house, is the 2nd house, which is our resources, my stuff, my ability to make money. The 8th house is other people's resources, other people's ability to make money, and other people's my ability to receive from other people, financially, emotionally, spiritually, my ability to receive. So you might have some old outworn ideas or structures in your head about what you can receive from others. You know, I will never let somebody do, you know, help me with XYZ. I will not allow somebody to back me financially in a new business. I don't believe that that's right. Or, you know, whatever situation it is about your worthiness to receive from other people can really hit the compost heap now. And it can either hit there through you deciding I'm letting go of that old dead idea about my ability to receive from others and what I'm worthy of receiving from others. Or Pluto will take it down the toilet with him, you know, and say, I'm smashing this, I'm destroying this, usually through a crisis situation. So better to bring things into the light yourself than to let Pluto come along and destroy it through a crisis. The idea is that we cling tightly to things, and Pluto makes us let go in sometimes the only way that will get our attention, which is through some sort of crisis transformation. 9th house. Now, if you have the South Node in the 9th house, this can take the manifestation of needing to purge and excrete old belief systems, particularly religious belief systems, old philosophies, outworn religious ideas that are not even based in current modern contextual reality. Even outworn teachers, outworn gurus, people who've served their purpose in your life, and it's time for you to move on, but you're just clinging to them, you know, you're hanging on to their teaching from, you know, hundreds of years ago in some cases, where you uphold someone as a guru who was just not serving you anymore in our current society. So Pluto will tear down any belief systems, any philosophies, any religious ideas, any gurus, any teachers that are not helping you rise into your destiny when you have the South Node in the 9th house in this case. So at this time, when we have a conjunction of the Pluto and the South Node happening in the sign of structure and hierarchy, you can expect, and you've got the South Node natally in the 9th house, you can expect that this is the area that you're going to feel it working in for you. 10th house, if you have the South Node in the 10th house, this is the area you're going to feel this triggering happening. And it's going to be occurring with hierarchies regarding social structures, as I described earlier for myself. Any societal expectations on you. Also, relationship with authority figures is going to be torn down. And the public image that you have is seen by the 10th house. Believe me, when I went through my separation in 2010, my public image plummeted big time. I mean, it was the time Facebook had only been operating for maybe 2 years or 3 years or whatever, and it was new and everyone was using it for everything. And let me tell you, everything happened on Facebook for the whole world to see. And you know, I was very much defamed, and it was an awful experience. But it fits with the Pluto conjunct where my North Node sits, which is in the 10th house. And so this is similar to what can be occurring for you guys now who have the South Node in the 10th house. When Pluto conjuncts the South Node by transit in the sky, it will trigger whatever the South Node is about in your chart. And in the 10th house, it's about your social identity, the reputation that you have, the public image that you have, outworn ideas and thinking about what is socially acceptable, what is socially right, what is socially good. It's going to get smashed. So bring it out into the light now. Look at what's dead in your life regarding these attitudes and ideas about society and how you present to society. Think about it, get it out in the light, address your fears so that Pluto doesn't have to smash it. If you have the South Node in the 11th house, well, the hierarchies and the outworn structures and the outworn thinking are going to be occurring in the context of social groups, social organizations, common goals with other people, even your dreams and aspirations that might be outworn and dated, and you really got to let that go. It's not going to happen. Let go of your clinging to this dream, this idea that was going to be, this is what my life's all about. Let it go. And if you don't let it go, Pluto will smash it. Also, friendships that are outworn. You know, you might be clinging to a friendship that is dead and not letting it go, or a social group or a circle that you are part of, or some sort of organization, and your time there is done and you're not letting it go. It's dead, but you won't let it go. Or there's even fear around that area of life. Fear of what will it look like if I don't have this social circle? What will it look like if I'm not part of this friendship group anymore? Well, you need to address it and work with that right now, or Pluto will rip it out from under you. He will destroy it and ruin your connection with that social group, with that friendship group, with those dreams and aspirations that you've got that are dead. He will take them in a hard way, a difficult way, a challenging way. So let's avoid the crisis and deal with those things now. And finally, the 12th house. If you have the South Node in the 12th house, well, the hierarchies that Pluto will be tearing down for you will have to do with spiritual beliefs or spiritual practices that no longer serve you. Even it might have connection to escapist places. The 12th house is very much where we escape reality to. And escapist places can be places like ashrams, yoga centers. So, I had a friend many years ago who was a devotee of a certain yoga practice and a certain guru within that practice. And some rather nasty things came out about this guru, and it absolutely destroyed her. The rug was really pulled out from under her regarding her practice of retreating and connecting with the divine through yoga, and it was years before she could practice yoga again because it destroyed her so much. And this is the kind of thing that can happen with the South Node in the 12th house and then Pluto smashing that and making you let go of what you're not willingly letting go of. It can also be a place for deluded spiritual practices such as cults and you know, the kind of kooky religious things that really are not right, not helping you rise into your destiny, not helping you be authentic and true and serve the world. So there can be a real smashing of any sort of deluded patterns or outworn ideas about religious, or not religious so much, but more spiritual practices. And I gave the example of my friend there. But also any outworn spiritual practices in general. Maybe you have always, you know, gotten up in the morning and gone for a walk around the lake, and that has been your spiritual practice and your way of communing with the divine. And for some reason, it's not doing it for you anymore, but you keep going and you keep going and you keep going, but the connection is lost. The connection's been severed. The energy has been dissolved somehow for you in that way, spiritually, but you keep doing it out of habit, and it's actually not serving you spiritually at all. Well, Pluto may very well smash that in some way. That's just an example. But also, when we see the 12th house, it's a house connected to martyrdom and sacrificing as well. And this can be very often be very unhealthy. There's a powerlessness about the 12th house, and it's very connected to Pisces, where we give our power away thinking it will benefit and help others, and that others are more important than ourselves. And there's a great deal of martyrdom and sacrifice and powerlessness there. So Pluto will make you address anything in that realm. If you are giving your power away, if you are being a martyr, if you are self-sacrificing in ways that do not serve your higher good, Pluto's gonna tear that rug out from underneath you in some way. If there's an old outworn attitude regarding that, it's going to go. So be prepared. These are the things that Pluto is going to deal with in the next week and a half, particularly in the lead up to the conjunction. We're already seeing it, we're already feeling it. It's probably been going on for a couple of months now, actually. And it's going to increase more and more as this year progresses, and we get a bit of a song and dance between Pluto and the South Node, and then eventually Pluto and Saturn. So this is the message that I really felt Pluto was calling me to share with you this week. I'm sorry for those who are looking for the more traditional what's happening in my sign kind of thing, or what's happening to me through my sign, but this has been a great way to learn astrology and to understand things a little more. Plus, like I said, I'm someone who really trusts my intuition, and I really felt led this week to discuss Pluto and to dive deep into Pluto. So I hope this has been beneficial. I hope that it's helped you. I hope that it's given light to the heaviness that we're experiencing. And I will just close by saying Uranus has moved into Taurus, and he's settling into Taurus now. Many people felt the shift when he moved for a day or two. Suddenly they felt lighter, they felt freer, they felt like, yep, finally everything will start going my way. And then a heaviness has kind of crept back. I feel that this heaviness is this: Pluto conjunct the South Node. I feel that this is where a lot of the heaviness people are still experiencing is coming from, because we need to keep purging. We need to keep getting therapy. We need to keep going to that spiritual energetic dance class, or getting Reiki, or whatever works for you. That's what we need to keep doing at this moment in the lead up to Pluto conjuncting the South Node, because whatever supports our body in purging, vomiting up, pooing out, getting rid of the shit, this is what we need to keep doing. And if we're doing it, Pluto will be kind with us, kinder with us in his desire to help us up level. So God bless you. Let me close with a prayer. Thank you, loving universal energy, that you desire for us to learn and grow and mature. And thank you that you provide many and varied experiences in life for us to do so. May we tune into this energy and deal with this energy of Pluto conjunct the South Node wisely and powerfully, in a way that serves our highest good, rather than just letting ourselves be tossed about on the waves of Pluto transformation and death and rebirth cycles. So give us wisdom, give us knowledge, give us insight, and help us to know how best to flow with this energy that is in the universe at the moment. And so it is. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to speaking with you again next week.